What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who ranking video. Today I'm going to be ranking every episode 1 from series 1 to 12. This is going to be kind of an updated list, I guess. I'm actually going to be going through every episode, so, this is going to go through 13 episodes eventually, and, going over and ranking my favourites, from the worst to the best. We're starting off with episode 1, which is kind of something I've already done before. I did a video a while ago, ranking the series openers, so that was pretty much the episode 1s, some of which were episode 1 and 2 because it was a two-parter. This one specifically though, we're only looking at episode 1, so if it is the two-parter, we're only looking at the first part. And also last time I did this video, or somewhat like this video, we did it for only series 1 to 10. We now have series 11 and 12 to add to this list. Now before I even get started, I want to say that these are all my opinions, my personal opinions. I'd love to know how you would rank every episode 1 down below, but remember, please respect my opinions and I will also respect yours. Also, this list will chop and change from now and again. I'll probably do an updated one of this, after series 13's aired. But for now, this is how it is. With most of these stories I've seen at least like 3 times. However, series 11 I've only seen them twice, and series 12 I've only seen them the once. But anyway, let's get started. Number 12. Asylum of the Daleks from series 7. Now this episode, it's always kind of a bit weird for me starting off a series with the Daleks. I don't really know if it works that well. I think they're more of a kind of mid-series or a finale villain. Opening the series with them I don't think really works. And this one is definitely the case, but it's all, honestly, in a lot of ways, it's not all really down to the Daleks. The Daleks themselves, I'm not the biggest fan of in this. They don't do a whole lot. It's really just the crazy, reject Daleks, because the Doctor and companions get sent down onto the planet to destroy the planet so that they can destroy all these crazy Daleks for some reason. Yeah, they don't do a whole lot. This is also the first story that introduced the whole, kind of humans having Dalek eye sorts coming out of their heads, which personally I'm just not a big fan of aesthetically or anything. I just don't really like it. I think it's just a bit silly. And then there's the whole thing with Amy and Rory's divorce, which felt so out of place and so random, just really didn't fit at all. Yeah, this episode is just a bit of a mess. Number 11. The Magicians Apprentice from series 9. Now I think some people are going to disagree with me on this one because generally I think a lot of people do quite enjoy this opener. I don't mind it on the whole. I think The Witch is Familiar part 2 of this is much better than the first part, mainly for the stuff with Davros and the Doctor. We have some of that in here and what we do have is good, but generally I just don't like mainly how this one starts, if anything. Starting with the Doctor on the tank with the glasses on playing guitar is ridiculous. That whole sequence is ridiculous and goes on for too long. You've got Missy here who just is kind of has just come back. Did we need her back straight away? I don't really think so. And generally, you've got the snake dude who doesn't really do a whole lot. It's a bit annoying. And yeah, I mean, the Daleks are just kind of here in this one. I think this one picks up quite a lot in The Witch is Familiar, but for the first part, personally, I'm not the biggest fan. Number 10. New Earth from series 2. Now we are only at number 10, but honestly we're at the point now where I do quite enjoy these episodes. I think New Earth's just kind of an average episode, but I definitely think I enjoy it more than most people. A lot of people really hate on New Earth, saying it's one of the worst episodes ever, and I don't really see why. It's David Tennant's first proper episode. I mean, you got Christmas Invasion, but this is the first episode where he's properly in character. He's got his, his suit on and everything, and he is the Doctor here straight away. It's his first trip as well, and I mean it's the first real trip onto another planet in the new series. And generally I quite like New Earth. I mean, I think it's just kind of average. Some of the stuff I don't think is great. The cats can be a bit annoying sometimes. The whole virus thing, and the way they kind of resolve it with just all the medicine in the world, I think's a little bit cheesy and a little bit like on the nose, but generally though I find this one quite good. Also Cassandra can be a bit annoying, but at the same time when she's taking over Rose and the Doctor, I think that stuff's very funny. Generally I just think this is a decent episode. Number 9. The Woman Who Fell to Earth from series 11. Here we've got Jodie's first episode, and yeah, generally I quite like this one. I think it's maybe gone down a little bit in my estimation. I think when I originally reviewed it, I gave it like an 8. Well, if I'm kind of comparing this to other episodes I've got around it and in front of it and stuff, it'd probably sit at like a 7.5 now with the other episodes, but I generally still think The Woman Who Fell to Earth is a decent start. The villain of Tim Shaw is not the best now that I look back on it, but he's good enough for a first episode villain, I would say. And generally I thought the pacing on this one was a little bit better than, you know, what would come to follow in Jodie's era, to be honest, especially with Series 11. But yeah, I mean, I liked the characters a bit in this one. They were okay. Some of them didn't have a whole lot to do, but generally I think for a first episode, this one is pretty decent at introducing the characters. It did have a whole lot to do, introducing 3 new characters, basically 4, and the Doctor, but I think it did it reasonably well. Number 8. Rose from Series 1. It's the first ever episode of the new series, and yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it has some flaws, definitely. I think some of the CGI is very dated now. The whole Mickey thing, the fact that they can't tell that Mickey as an Auton isn't actually the real Mickey is really silly. And generally the whole bin thing is kind of failed comedy, in my opinion, although I do have a little bit of a giggle at it now and again at just how ridiculous it actually is. I still think this is a great introduction to the show. Bringing the Autons back, I thought, was a really good villain to bring the series back, because I mean, they were used in Spearhead from Space, John Pertwee's first story, the first story in colour, so I think it kind of works well in that regard. Generally, yeah, I mean, I think it introduced the Doctor really well, it introduced Rose really well, and Mickey and Jackie and all these people, and generally brought the show back, and if it wasn't a success, well, frankly, we wouldn't have Doctor Who here today. Number 7. The pilot from Series 10. This was an interesting episode because it introduced us to a brand new companion in the form of Bill Potts, a really nice breath of fresh air after Clara, and generally posed a decent threat for the story with the Flood, kind of the puddle type creature with Heather. What I thought that especially for a first episode villain was fine. And yeah, very scary moments as well, like when Bill sees the eye in the plug hole, very, very scary stuff. That made me jump at the time for sure, and if I forget about it on rewatches, although I've seen it enough times now that I kind of just know about it. But yeah, generally I like how they travel to Australia and they travel to this other weird planet and they travel around a bit. We have the whole Dalek cameo, which is good, but at the same time it's like they were like, we don't have a Dalek story for this series, but we've still got to get the Daleks in there somehow, so it kind of just gets plotted in. But I think it all works together well, and generally it's just a nice enjoyable one to watch for the start of the series. Number 6. Partners in Crime from Series 4. Now this one is just great. It's just a really fun story. The actual story itself is not the most engaging. You've got the whole adipose thing with the walking fat, and it's not scary at all. And I mean, really, that doesn't pose much of a threat, I suppose, especially not to our heroes, the Doctor and Donna. But yeah, generally it's just a fun episode. It really is just a fun opening episode. Having the Doctor and Donna back together again is amazing. That scene where they're looking at each other through the windows and pulling faces and stuff and miming at each other is hilarious. One of the funniest scenes ever in Doctor Who. And yeah, there's just a feel about this story that I love. I love how they keep missing each other at the start of the story. It's just so amazing, and generally it's just a fun, funny story, and I live for that stuff, especially with the Doctor and Donna. Number 5. Deep Breath from Series 8. This is the 12th Doctor's first story. Peter Capaldi, he blows it out of the park, straight away. It's amazing. He does a great performance. He's funny in this one. He's a little bit insane. I just love the kind of just really crazy 12th Doctor, which honestly we didn't get a whole lot of. Now and again we got bits of it. But here, he's just regenerated and he doesn't really know who he is. He's gone a bit mad. The whole scene with the hobo, I think, is hilarious. It's such an amazing scene, stealing his coat, like, I'm gonna take your coat. Oh, I'm Scottish. It's just funny stuff. I really love that stuff. And generally, yeah, I mean, Peter Capaldi pretty much carries it for this one. Clara's there. She's fine. She's okay. The Paternoster gang are also there. It's nice to see them back. I think, having the Clockwork Robots back as well in a different form. And the Doctor trying to figure out, I've seen this before. Really, really good stuff. The dinosaur kind of was just there. But generally, yeah, I have fun with this one and it's enjoyable. Number 4. The Impossible Astronaut from Series 6. This is the first part of the 2-part opener for Series 6, and generally I think this one starts quite well. Series 6 really goes downhill for me towards the end, once like Let's Kill Hitler comes along in the second half, but the first half I thought set up things pretty well. You've got this whole mystery of the Doctor has just died in the first episode. what are we going to do? The Doctor, River, Amy and Rory are pondering what to do. The Doctor's just died, and then all of a sudden he steps out of the cafe door in the bathroom, and it's just like, what is going on? It's a big mystery. You've got the Silence, who I think are great in this one as well. Personally, I don't think I like this one quite as much as Day of the Moon. There's just a feel to Day of the Moon that I love so much, kind of with the way it ends, and the Doctor just feels so victorious in that one, but at the same time, Amy and Rory know, the Doctor's gonna die eventually, and it's this real feel. But yeah, this first part is really good. Number 3. Spyfall Part 1 from Series 12. Yes, it's Series 12 opening episode, the first part of the 2-part story Spyfall, and I thought Part 1 of Spyfall really did knock things out of the park. It felt so much different and so much better than Series 11 on a whole. There was just so much more going on. The pacing was better. I think there's still issues here and there, even with the pacing sometimes, but generally the pacing I thought was pretty decent in this one, especially compared to Series 11. There was a few little jokes and things here and there from Jodie that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but generally I enjoyed the companions in this one. I enjoyed the Doctor. I enjoyed the mystery of the Kasavin and what they were, and the reveal at the end of the Master was so out of the blue, but it worked so well. And generally, it was the last like 10 minutes of this episode that really blew it out of the park for me, but it felt so different and so much better than Series 11 that at the moment, even though I have only watched it once so far, it is currently at number 3. Number 2. Smith and Jones from Series 3. Now, when it comes to a companion introduction story, I think with introducing the companion, this is the best story, and honestly, I keep kind of switching numbers 1 and 2, Smith and Jones and whatever's coming up next, which if you've been paying any attention, you'll know what number 1 is, but Smith and Jones just holds such an amazing place, a sweet place in my heart. I just think the Doctor and Martha just bond straight away. They have this connection to each other. I really like Martha. I think she's honestly one of the most underappreciated, underrated companions in Doctor Who. I love her so much. The Jadoon, I think, are awesome in this. It's the first time we see them on the moon. It's all good. There's some funny stuff. I think the Plasmavore is a little bit kind of lazy and not that exciting, but generally she, is a threat, and especially when she kind of sucks the Doctor's blood as well. That whole moment at the end there when Martha realizes, wait a minute, she sucked the Doctor's blood, she's now gonna come up as an alien. It's a really, really fun episode that I love, and it's a great introduction to one of my favourite companions. Number 1. The 11th Hour from Series 5. It was gonna be this. I mean, it does for me kind of switch between the 11th Hour and Smith and Jones, but for now I'm gonna put the 11th Hour at the top. Especially for introducing a new Doctor, this episode pretty much does it perfectly. Especially when you consider that David Tennant was and still is my favourite Doctor, and I was heartbroken when he left the show and we got this weirdo Matt Smith that I'd never heard of before, but straight away with the first episode, I was hooked. I thought, yep, this guy is the Doctor straight away, and it takes a lot to do that. A lot of Doctors, even like Capaldi and stuff, they haven't nailed it straight away. I mean, they've been really good from the get-go, but they haven't nailed it straight away. But for me, Matt Smith pretty much does that. He's great in the 11th Hour. The villain of the episode isn't the most amazing, but it works for what the story is. And generally, you've got the introduction of Amy and Rory as well, and they're pretty cool too. Rory not so much in this one, but Amy has a lot to do here and is introduced really well. But yeah, it's mainly for the Doctor in this one, and it just feels like a brand new show almost, with Stephen Moffat taking over as well. It's just a great opener. Alright, so that is my ranking of every episode 1 from series 1 to 12 of Doctor Who. How would you guys rank these 12 episodes from worst to best, or best to worst, or whatever way you want to rank them, as long as you tell me which way around it is so I know. Even if it's completely split, the other way to me, I don't really mind. It's opinions, and as long as you accept my opinion, then I will completely accept yours, and we can have a fun little discussion about it. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Go down into the description, follow me on Twitter, that would be awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next video.